Welcome to Zen Zestful.
My name is Christina.
And my name is Mandy. What do you think about people who never leave their hometown? They never travel. They never leave their little bubbles.
I'm cautious.
You're cautious
of people like that.
Okay.
So I grew up in a small suburban town outside of Edmonton.
Yep.
And there was a lot of people there like that. Not everybody, by any means. But I came across that quite frequently growing up. And I was always just like, why? But I'm also a naturally curious person. But I also find that if you are so complacent and happy with where you are and have no interest in experiencing anything else in life, I'm kind of a little hesitant, I guess.
Of why people wouldn't go.
Of why, yeah.
I never thought much of this until I moved to Brantford, Ontario for a bit. And when I was there, I was having a conversation with someone and they had never been to the CN Tower. And they'd never been to Canada's Wonderland. They'd never been to any of these places that we, obviously living close in the city, we take for granted. And I remember being like, CN Tower is like an hour and 20 minutes away from you. Like, have you never just gone for a drive down the 403 to the CN Tower? And then when I was working in Toronto, coming across people that live downtown that have never left their neighborhoods. They, like, if you live downtown, obviously, like there's a lot of people in Toronto that live downtown that don't have cars.
Yeah.
So that limits you, obviously, but there's just no desire to leave their neighborhood.
Yeah, and even like, you don't have to be unhappy to leave. You can be very happy with where you're living.
Right.
And still desire to experience more. But it's, I think as well, like, especially for downtown folks, I lived downtown, now I'm a little outside of it, but everything is there in that 1 kilometer vicinity. You'll have grocery stores, maybe you'll have a park, you'll have bars and restaurants and whatever. So it's really easy to not leave.
Like, what is it about people that terrifies them from wanting to leave, but also as two people that love to travel, that love to just explore, what's it done for you?
What travel has done for me?
Yeah.
I feel like if I were to have a soapbox at Yonge and Dundas Square, this is what I would talk about.
You'd be the Jesus guy?
I would be the Jesus guy, but like pro-travel. And hey, Jesus traveled, so maybe I fit along with those people anyways.
Every religious individual, like, it is fascinating when you look back at every one of these prophets / gurus / messengers of God. They all traveled.
Yes, they all traveled. Yeah.
So there is something to leaving your comfort zone. There is something to leaving your little bubble and exploring the world outside of your immediate environment.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head too. Like, I love to get out of my comfort zone and experience new things. Like, what I love the most is experiencing things.
Yeah.
Whether that be buying like 3 new blushes at Sephora to experience those colors, or traveling to eat every different kind of bread I could eat in Italy recently. You know, like, it's the experience, I think, that really enriches my life. And that is what I love to drive after and travel.
I think what brought this conversation about also is that both of us in the last month have left the country to go to our respective places that we went to. And it really did, for me, open up my eyes more so this time around, because this specific trip was something that I just been jonesing for months, because I needed this escape. But what I realized was I traveled in February. I also traveled in September. I traveled in August. Like, I'm constantly going to different places. Yeah. But something about needing to escape this time, because life was starting to feel just so suffocating, it made me realize we created these lives where we're constantly looking for an escape from that life, and travel is like this opportunity to leave your responsibilities behind and come home to you, but in an environment where it needs nothing of you.
Yes.
So how was you went on your honeymoon?
I went on my honeymoon.
Yeah.
So it was a different kind of travel. And it's funny because the last big trip I did was my second time in India, which half of that was an Indian wedding. The other half was a super chill time up in the Himalayas. So a very different way to travel. And then my honeymoon, I approached it as, like, we went to Italy. So of course there's so many things to do in Italy. It gets overwhelming very quickly when you're planning, but I still wanted it to be chill, but experiential in the sense of like being able to, go to nice restaurants and whatever. So we did a combination of Airbnbs for the first half of the trip, so very more like local feeling, chill, and then because it's our honeymoon, we kind of splashed out for the second half of the trip and made it a little bit more, staying at nice hotels and stuff, because it's your honeymoon.
It is your honeymoon.
But it's also I've never been on a trip like that where I was more relaxed, but also, I guess, elevating it intentionally because of a honeymoon. So I don't know. You were talking about travel as an escape, and I think travel is an escape, but I also think that travel is different for different seasons. So you were talking about being stressed with work or stressed with life, right, and needing to leave that and reset. And there's so much value and luxury in being able to do that.
It is a luxury.
It is a luxury. And you and I are both the same way. We love to have regular trips and have those resets. When I went to India after my mom passed away and I had this whole kind of reset of my entire life, the travel was a modality to find that reset, but I wasn't escaping my life.
No.
During that trip. And then my honeymoon, I wasn't escaping
you were enjoying an experience with your husband.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's really interesting kind of to see how travel can affect you and you affect the way you travel.
Yeah. I find, like I'd said, different seasons require different types of travel. So the last time I did a all-inclusive resort, sit on a beach and do nothing type trip was probably 8 years ago, 2018. And every time I've gone anywhere since then, that's not been the vibe. Mm-hmm. It's just been different types of travel and not at all an all-inclusive resort. So this time I was like, you know what, I think I'm due for something like this. And there's a lot of people out there, and there's nothing wrong with it, where when they want to go away, they just want to go to an all-inclusive. They want to sit there, have the food, everything, and not have to worry about a single thing for a week. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that is what your body requires. But I like to have that balance of, okay, yes, I want to do that, but I also need that sense of adventure and that zest and that that feeling of I'm just elated right now. And I made it a point to include that in this trip, where I did a whole bunch of excursions on, I shoved them all into one day. And then it was a nice balance of, okay, you rest and relax, you get your pool time, you get your food, and then you get your adventure, but it's a balance of everything cultivated together. I think what's also very crucial is understanding that who you travel with.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. And a lot of times people don't realize that the company you keep around you impacts your experience so much.
Oh, yeah.
In the most subtlest of ways. And I like to look at my travel experiences as a sort of a mirror back to myself. The people I'm with, what are they triggering within me, right? It's all fine to think you're going to go on a trip with a bunch of your friends and it's going to be a blast. But then, you always hear about the drama that unfolds, and someone does something and they didn't do this and they didn't consider me and this happened and that happened. And you're kind of listening to these stories. And when I'm having, I don't have dramatic, insane experiences on my trips because I'm very now careful with who I'm going with. But if I catch myself getting into a headspace where it's about to ruin my experience in any shape or form, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, why is this pissing me off?
Yeah.
What is it about this person and what they're doing right now that's about to irritate me? And I catch myself and take a step back. Why is this irritating me? Mm-hmm. They're having their little meltdown moment because, you know, the fries weren't, or whatever the fuck happened, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Or whatever happened. No swearing. No swearing.
No swearing?
I'm trying not to.
All right. Good luck.
But it teaches me about me, because I learn about the person I'm with, especially when you're friends with someone and you see them for a couple hours here and there. It's not the same as pretty much living with them for an entire week or 10 days or 2 weeks, right? Maybe what makes them shut down, what makes them open up, teaches you a lot about your relationship with your friends. It teaches you a lot about, what do you do when you're inconvenienced, when things aren't going your way? And what fascinates me is when things aren't going my way in a different country, I'm way more relaxed and chill and just it is what it is about it, versus if something's not going my way here at home, or something's kind of, shit is hitting the fan.
Yeah.
I go into this sort of rabbit hole of stress and overwhelm. And I have to, well, why is that? Why can't I cultivate this headspace at home when things are going haywire?
Yeah.
Things are going haywire in Spain. I don't have a ride back to where I need to go, and I'm having to hitchhike in the back of some guy's friggin' caravan. And why am I not freaked out? I don't have a phone. I don't even know where I am, and nobody speaks English. Like, this is the worst case scenario. But I'm like, God will provide. but
you got to give the space for that to happen, though. And travel, and I've had similar experiences, travel, because all the noise is reduced of your day-to-day life, like all of your roles of who you are as a person in your life are gone.
Yeah.
Aside from maybe whoever you happen to be traveling with and whatever that relationship is like. But if you give yourself over to those experiences and kind of give space for things to happen, it's really interesting what can happen.
Yeah. And it's also fascinating when you're traveling with people. Obviously, like if you're with a partner, I think the number one thing you should do when you're getting into a relationship or you're in a relationship is travel with the person you're with. Because
you will learn.
You will learn so much, because how is this individual when they're faced with an inconvenience? How is this individual when they're sick on vacation? Like when you get sick,
yes,
it does ruin your experience. But do you let that foreshadow the entire trip, or does that is your entire trip ruined because on one day you were sick, or what have you, or do you push through and just, hey, you know what?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
I was going to say that just happened to my husband on our honeymoon.
Your honeymoon sounds like a great movie, because
there was some drama. For anybody who I haven't told this story to or hasn't seen this on Instagram, where I posted some things on it, there were many things that made my honeymoon very interesting right off the hop. The first being that when we got to the airport, they would not let my husband on the plane because his passport was going to expire within the 6-month period if he did not change his flight to come back a day earlier. So many minutes of frustration and time on the phone with Avion. Eventually we ended up being able to change his flight, so he came back a day early. But I also had to think too that it was interesting. Like, my husband is so happy for me to travel by myself, which I think you and I want to talk about solo travel in a bit. But it was never a question of like me coming back with him, because we both knew that I was going to stay the extra day. But
you got to have that one day to yourself on your own honeymoon,
which was great.
Which was amazing.
Which was amazing, to be honest with you. But it's interesting too, because I know that would have caused a lot of conflict in other relationships.
How dare you be without me?
Yeah, totally.
On our honeymoon.
Exactly. But now, at the time, it was highly stressful. Let's not kid ourselves.
Of course.
But then now I'm kind of like, haha, I spent the last night of my honeymoon by myself.
just kind of peaceful, not gonna lie.
I wandered around Rome. It was great. But he was also sick as well. So after that whole thing, we get to Florence, and finally, after a major delay, etc. And then my husband, who is a self-acknowledged, proclaimed hypochondriac, is like, I think I'm getting sick. I'm like, no, you're fine. And then it turns out he got really sick and he had to get antibiotics. But anyways, but that also, like, him and I just have an understanding where it's like, oh, of course I'm going to still go like wander around and he'll nap.
And you'll be
like,
fine.
He'll be fine. Like, we're both, but that's just how our relationship works. We can both operate very independently. Of course we want to spend time together, but like
it doesn't
happy.
Ruin.
It doesn't ruin it. We're happy for the other person to still do what they got to do.
Yeah. I find, I remember going on, like when I was younger, I didn't think about these things of who you're going with really matters. I would just, my friends want to go, let's go. This random person that I work with wants to go on a trip, fuck it, let's go on this trip. And then you get there and you're like, I never want to be here with this person ever again, because we are so different in how we operate and move and what I want to do versus what they want to do. And some of the, when you're in your 20s, you don't think about these things, right? No. You're just glad to get out. Let's go. Yeah. But now one of the key things for me is the person that I'm going with, do they have the capability to emotionally regulate themselves when things aren't going their way? Because things won't go your way, right?
Mm-hmm. It's travel. Something's always going to happen.
Something's always going to happen. But the beauty about solo travel is like last year I went on, I've been on solo trips alone, but within Canada. I've never gone international alone. And it was one of my, like, I was by myself in Spain, and it was like an incredible experience for like a couple days where I just had, it was my own time. I woke up whenever I wanted to wake up. I, ate wherever I wanted to eat. I went to whatever museum, whatever cathedral, whatever it is. And I spent as much time as I wanted to without having to think about, well, is the person that I'm with enjoying this? Are they having a good time? And somebody might look at that and be like, well, that's kind of selfish and like inconsiderate of you or whatever, if you're with someone or what have you. But I looked at it as an opportunity to truly just understand my own likes and my own desires of what brings me joy in this foreign country where I don't speak a lick of the language and my phone keeps dying. I keep getting lost. And am I going to panic? Am I going to be afraid? And I wasn't. Like, it was 2:00 in the morning and I'm in the streets of Spain, no idea how to get back to my hotel. And I'm like, well, I kind of came down this way, and I'm like looking through alleyways, and I was like, this kind of isn't safe because it's dark and I'm just a girl in flip-flops and a dress.
Right.
And I have this dead phone and, whatever I had to get from the store in the middle of the night. And I remember thinking, I'm just going to pretend like I'm one of the locals.
Yeah.
Just like figure this out and no one will bother me. As long as nobody speaks to me and realizes I don't know a lick of Spanish, I'll be fine. And getting myself, like I always find myself in these weird situations where I have to figure out how to survive through them. And when you're with someone, obviously it makes it that much more adventurous. But when you're alone, that's when you truly get to build that trust and confidence within yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's just you.
Totally.
And it was amazing. Like, how am I, a lone woman, going to figure out how to get from point A to point B and communicate with like female travel alone? It, like, for a plethora of reasons, comes with its risks, and learning how to navigate those risks. And I mean, it is a luxury. It's a luxury. I don't take it for granted because my ancestors before me never had this luxury. Like, no woman in my lineage could just up and be like, no, I'm going to Spain by myself. Like, the fuck you are.
That was not going to happen.
That is not going to happen. You're not leaving your village, right? Yeah. So I don't take an ounce of it for granted anytime I get to go anywhere. But it fascinates me, the people who never want to go anywhere, because I'm like, you don't know what you're missing.
You don't know what you're missing. And like, I relate to so much of what you just said. So when, hearkening back to my husband having to leave a day early of our honeymoon.
Yeah.
We originally were going to spend most of that day in Naples before taking a train back to Rome and eventually fly out. And now the internet is very divided about Naples because mostly everyone is like, it's so sketchy, it's so dangerous, women are going to get harassed in the street. Like, it is all this like fear-mongering kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, should I go to Rome early and just change my train, or what should I do? Do I hang out around the hotel or whatever, right? And then I was like, why am I letting the internet make my decisions for me? I'm like, I've solo traveled in India. I can fucking solo travel in Delhi. Naples. Yeah, in Delhi of all places.
Like the rape capital of the world, supposedly.
I did Old Delhi by myself, man.
Wow.
But I knew where I was going, so it was a bit of a different situation. So I head down and went to the mosque,
You went to, okay.
I really wanted to go to the mosque there because I didn't get to the first time I went. It was a whole thing and whatever.
Gotcha.
But I solo traveled there. I'm like, I'm not going to not solo travel in Naples. And I had the best day. But like what you were saying, when you get to make your own decisions and you're not beholden to anybody, you also don't have the distractions of your day-to-day life. Like, I found myself asking myself, like, what do I want to do today? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do today. And it can become overwhelming, I think, because we don't really give ourselves those opportunities. No. And so I was like, you know what? When I think about Naples, I think about how authentic the culture is. I'm just going to kind of wander and see what happens. And it happened to be a Sunday. I went to like 3 or 4 cathedrals, and some services had started in some cathedrals, and like, it was just
said what up to Jesus,
all of these things. Everybody wanted me to give them money, and I'm like, listen, I have 20 euros to last me this day. Like,
to get back to my home.
Gotta get back to, and it was so cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, I think I do want to do the underground tour. But online there was no tickets until a later time that day. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go in person and see. Guess what? It worked out. And all of this to be said, like, it was like busy, and I could see some people not being comfortable. English speakers, I'll say, being comfortable, because it was a lot of mostly Italian tourists. There was no English anywhere in Naples, but it was a very authentic experience. Like, you're seeing the laundry hanging in the streets, and like everybody's talking to each other, and I didn't get pickpocketed. I didn't get harassed. I didn't get anything. I also know how to travel and be safe and like hold myself in a certain way. So it was just a cool experience, and I did kind of what I feel like I was meant to do that day.
What are your biggest lessons though when you travel?
In general?
Wherever it could be next to the province next door, like just when you leave your home space and you're traveling, whether it's in another province, another city, another country, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have?
My biggest one would be to let go of control, because for me, being a very type A person, when I'm at home, it's very easy for me to be like, okay, on this day, I'm going to do this thing and this thing and this thing. And like, I am a busy person. I have a day job and I teach yoga. We have a podcast. I do many things and I like all of those things. But if you are constantly scheduling yourself to the minute, you're not going to have space for really beautiful things to happen in your life. And some of the best things that have happened while I've traveled have been things that were unplanned. Yeah. Like, for example, when I went to India last year with my friend Lauren, I got to the place that we were, the hotel, and I saw this little sign on the nightstand, and it's like all these adventure things. To preface this, I am terrified of heights. And then there was this thing, and it's like paragliding, and I'm like, I must go paragliding. I must do it.
In India with no safety precautions or life insurance.
Yeah, this is correct. And then Lauren got there later than me, and I'm like, Lauren, do you want to go paragliding? She's like, absolutely, I do. I'm like, great.
I love her vibe. She's such a sweetheart.
She's the best. And it was just so funny because we had not really planned anything for the time we were spending together. I never would have planned paragliding in my life, like back home. But because we had this time and the opportunity presented itself, I did it. And it was so cool. And also because I'm afraid of heights, doing something that just like kiboshes that, and like you're doing something in the face of your fear.
How exhilarating was that? How
exhilarating. It was insane. So like, I never would have had that opportunity if I didn't, open myself up to it.
So I had a very similar experience. I was just in Mexico and I went to Xcaret. It's one of their parks there, and it's a massive resort. It's beautiful. And throughout my life, like, I'm not afraid of heights really, but I think the older I get, the more afraid of heights I've become for some reason. I don't know why. When I was a kid, I would climb a tree. I didn't care. I'd be on rooftops. And now, like, I have to climb my roof to clean the gutters. And I'm like, could fall on my driveway, right? Like, it's just weird how as you age, certain fears just come up. So I've paraglided in BC. I've done all kinds of stuff, and I've never really had that fear of the height, but I've never ziplined. And for a multitude of reasons, because one, I fear, what if the zipline breaks?
Fair.
I'm the 0.1%. And you're moving at this insane speed. So like, what if I hit a tree? Like, just weird fears around ziplining. So I'm not closed off to it, but I've never done it. And so we're in Mexico, and I'm at this excursion, and part of the package was ziplining. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool to zipline. Mm-hmm. But in the back of my head, I'm like, fuck. And so we get all our stuff on, we get all our gear on, and the woman at the front, she's like, okay, well, there's a lot of people here, so this is going to take about 50 minutes to an hour. And I'm going, like, the lineup is 50 minutes to an hour? Like, why would it take so long? Because it's like a zip line's like 30 seconds, right? Like, how long's a zip line? Well, it's 7 zip lines, and each gets higher and higher before it dumps you into the river.
Got it.
And so I have all my gear on, and I'm like standing there, and I look over, and I'm like, it's a good time to tell you that I've never ziplined before. And the look of shock. And I was like, well, I can't back out now because they've kitted me up. Like, I have to go.
You're in.
And I just remember the first time they hooked me up, and I'm standing there, I'm like holding on to the thing. And I'm like, the guy's like, you have to extend your arms. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, my nails are longer. So I like dug into like the palm of my hand out of fear. And I'm just going. And I remember like just the zip line starts to spin, and I'm screaming. But at the same time, I'm like, how fucking insane is this? That this is not, like, I've been running from this experience my entire life. And here I am in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, on a zip line. And this is not like, if I'd not let go of that specific moment, nothing happened to me. I was fine. In the end, I get thrown into a river. It was great. It was very refreshing. It was a hot day. But overcoming little fears like that, I think, is what builds that sense of adventure, because I'm like, now I can bungee jump.
Yeah. and sense of self-trust and believing that you can do things you didn't think were possible.
And heights is a huge fear for so many people, right? Like
yes.
Heights, yes.
Yes, can confirm.
but to overcome that fear, it's like, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
I wanted to go paragliding again. I'm like, let's go.
Let's go to Grouse Mountain. Something that I've now started to understand about when I travel, especially over the last 5 years specifically, is, aside from it being a luxury and a way to escape your day-to-day life and all that, I look at it as a very spiritual experience, because it is a type of reflection and mirror back to you about not just yourself, but the people around you. But the experience that you're having on that trip is exactly what you needed. And when you let go of the control, when you were saying earlier where, people plan their trips like the itinerary down to a T, we have to catch this train at this time to be at this place and whatever the case may be, right? And that works for certain people. But the more you try to control the outcomes, like every time I've gone somewhere, I just feel called to that place. I feel like, you know what, like I really wanted to go to Costa Rica. I ended up in Costa Rica. And when I was there, when I was sitting there, I understood why I needed to be in Costa Rica. And I find that whatever you're being reflected, whether it's through your thoughts, whether it's through the experiences that you're having, the people that you're with, whatever it is that you're doing, it's exactly what you needed in that moment to reflect back whatever lesson it is that you need to learn at that time in your life that you wouldn't have learned had you just stayed at home in your cubicle. Like I needed to go to, for example, I was in Panama and we were there was like a full moon. And what I realized this trip specifically is every single time I've traveled, it's a full moon.
Interesting.
Every trip I've taken in the last 5 years, every single trip has landed on a full moon. And I don't plan it that way. Those are just where the dates align. And I've watched the full moon in different countries, in different parts of the ocean, on different sides of the planet.
So cool.
And every single time it's like it's reflecting or mirroring something back to me, and it's just so magical. And one of the things, like you were talking, like I had asked you earlier, like what are some of the lessons that you get from travel? What I learned is we overcomplicate our lives so much in North America that it's not until you go to other places and you realize how simple life truly is and how not complicated it needs to be. And it's not until you get out of your comfort zone that you go to a place and you just observe and watch the way day-to-day people live. Yeah. Not to say that they don't have their own hardships and their own challenges, of course, but life itself is so simple. And we're so invested in social media, we're so invested in the news that we let that shape our perception of reality. And it's not until you go to these places and have your encounters and interactions with the people that live there that you understand that most people are just kind people. And an example of that would be, I had to hitchhike twice, actually. I had to hitchhike in Spain. I also had to hitchhike in Costa Rica. Okay. And my experience in Costa Rica, I was with 3 other girls. We ended up in this road. We took the local bus, like their version of TTC. We end up in this rodeo horse festival 2 hours away from the city we're staying in. Okay. And the bus service stops at 4:30, but the sun sets at like 6 o'clock. And so now we have to make it back somehow, but there's no bus. So we just ended up having this encounter with the guy who's doing the ticket sales, who also happened to have a taxi company, but we couldn't get out. So we had to hitch a ride with him to the main road to a random taxi driver that he set us up with, who spoke not a lick of English. And we're like, this could go in either direction, it could go any way. And he was the sweetest man because he saw that we were like in awe of the sun setting. And he just pulls over and we're like, what's going on, right? He goes, take a picture. And we're like, oh, okay. He let us stop, pull over, take a picture of the sunset, and like we kept going. And same thing in Spain, not a lick of English in this village of like, I don't know how many people, no phone service, no taxis, nothing. We're at the bottom of this mountain and we have no way of getting back to our hotel. And nobody stopped for us, like nobody. And like there's an entrance into this village and this guy stops and he's like, we're like, one of the girls flags him down and she's like, is there a store we can get water? Because we're like dying of thirst. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, there's like further down there. She's like, how far is it? He goes, he gets the water, he comes back. And he's like the Amazon delivery guy, right? And he goes, you're not going to get a taxi, but like, he goes, I have room in the back. It's just boxes. So like, if you want to sit in the dark of this dingy little van, and we're like, we have no other option. Yeah. So we just pile into this van and he could have taken us anywhere. Like he could have been anybody, but he drove us exactly to the restaurant we needed to go to so we could get Wi-Fi and get some food and connect back to wherever we needed to go. And that's not like, to encounter people, like who would do that, first of all, to just, you see a bunch of girls at the side of the road and you just shove them in your van and you drive them away, right? Like it could go either way. I'm not saying like do these things, but people are genuinely kind-hearted. And not to say that there are not people that exist that'll take advantage of you and, you know, be very dangerous. We all know that. But day-to-day encounters that I've had in every country I've gone to, it does restore your faith in humanity. Yeah. And I think that the people that live in a bubble, whether it's in Toronto, whether it's in Brantford, whether it's in Brampton, wherever they live, they fail to understand that you're limiting your worldview of what humanity and the world really offers. Yeah. Is community and connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. So travel is obviously a mirror, but for those maybe who are not into travel or need to take that first step into an experience that allows them to have something mirrored back to them, where else can they look in their lives to find that kind of reflection?
The biggest form of reflection in your life is actually your relationships. Whether it's your relationship with your friends, with your parents, with your children, with your significant other, with your coworkers, that is the biggest mirror for how you're showing up in life, because it shows you the choices you're making about the people you choose to surround yourself with. Yeah. It shows you how you're showing up in the world that's triggering whatever response it is in other people. Like one of the things that I've really had to work on is my directness. Like in my mind, being direct is it simplifies everything. Like you're not beating around the bush. I'm not sugarcoating. I get my point across and I move my merry way.
And it's almost like a kindness that you're being direct. It's almost like
I'm just telling you what I need and why I need it, and you can do it or you can't do it, and we're done. But for a lot of people, that's a shock because they're not used to the directness. It almost comes off as rude because I'm not like softening whatever it is that I need to say. And I understand that that's a challenge for a lot of people, and it does come off as cold, even if that's not my intent. And I need to work on how I show up in that, right? Yeah. So that gets reflected back to me on the daily through my work relationships, which differ greatly from my interpersonal relationships with my friends, because how I show up at work is not how I'm showing up with my girlfriends. Very different. And how I show up with my family is also not the same as how you start to learn how you're showing up in your life, because the way those people are responding to you basically is the consequence of what you're doing to them and vice versa. Yeah. That being said, you're not always the bad guy. Sometimes you're just making poor choices about the people you're surrounding yourself with. So going back to travel, I would say when you are traveling, the biggest component is who you're traveling with. Yeah. And if you're choosing to solo travel, asking yourself, what is it that I want to experience in this space? What does the space have to offer? So Costa Rica, what does Costa Rica have to offer? Well, there's a lot of greenery, there's a lot of nature, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of like outdoor activities, and a lot of coffee. Are those things that, and there's so much more than that, trust me, way more than that, right? But like for me, I was like, these are all things that I love. I want to check off each item off my list. And the food has to be like,
oh yeah,
everything is about food,
both
right?
So there, yeah.
Everything's about food. So I want to cultivate a beautiful experience for myself. Where would I go and how how would my day look? And when I was in Costa Rica, I was one of my really close girlfriends, and we love working out. So we got ourselves a gym membership, and we would start our day with a solid workout and then hit the coffee shop and then start our day. And then we want to bask in the sun, and we would do that. We want to do an excursion. Well, today we want to be lazy. And that's why it helps to have someone who values the same things that you do. So having that experience shaped, I think in order to cultivate that beautiful travel experience, make that list, but also understand you're not going to control any of it. So if, like, I'll give you an example of Mexico. I had planned to go to this specific restaurant. It didn't happen. I didn't end up at this restaurant. But then I also realized, well, why do I want to go to that restaurant? Just to say that I went to that restaurant. Like I wanted, like me and the person that I went with, we both just wanted to go to this restaurant to say that we went to this restaurant and then ate there. Is that really that important? Because who's it really for?
Totally.
Like, oh, it's just to tell people back home that we went here.
Yeah.
And we don't really genuinely care for it because this is food that we could get anywhere. What we did end up doing was ending up in like the middle of like not a good place of Mexico. It was a little rough around the edges. And we found this hole in the wall restaurant that's covered in like the bars and the cages. And the owner didn't speak any English. It's an older grandma. And I think her son worked with her. He also didn't speak any English. And we went in there and we had these incredible birria tacos that were just the most flavorful. And I was like, you know what? This was worth it. Like this, I'd rather this than a bougie restaurant. But if you're with someone who doesn't value the hole in the wall place and they want the bougie, Instagram worthy place, you're probably not going to be a good fit.
Totally.
Yeah. So that's my response to that.
So I think we can both agree that it's important to leave your comfort zone.
Yes.
No matter how much of a departure, I guess, from your comfort zone you're looking for.
It doesn't have to be the other side of the world.
No, it really doesn't. I find that freeing, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
It can be a new neighborhood in your city if you live in Toronto or whatever. I have to think about when I was growing up in Sherwood Park, which is outside of Edmonton, that I was very grateful, or I am very grateful, that my parents would always take us into Edmonton and Chinatown specifically. We would go to church on Sundays and then we go for Chinese food or pho, Vietnamese food. Been eating a lot of pho my entire life.
I think you were destined to marry a Chinese man.
Truly. Many things point to that. It's been to China as well. Anyways, and it was so interesting because in grade 6 we had this unit on China. So then we had a field trip going to Chinatown, and like it was something like go to the Chinese grocery store, go to the Chinese cultural center, and then go eat Chinese food. It was something like that, right?
Sums it up.
And Chinatown in Edmonton is not in a great area. And I remember getting off the bus and all the other kids from my class were just shocked that there's like drug addicts on the street, or, there's chicken feet in the grocery store, and their minds were blown. And for me, I'm like, I'm here every week. Like
this is just a Tuesday.
This is just Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my mom about it because she was on the trip too. And I was just like, why are people so shocked? And she's explaining to me, she's like, they don't leave Sherwood Park. They don't understand that there's a world outside of suburbia. And then like, as I got older, I only saw that more and more where people, get a little bit more set in their ways, and just some people don't even go into Edmonton because everything you need is in Sherwood Park. And that's, I don't want to say scary, but like,
it's terrifying.
It is
to people like us.
Yeah, to people like us, because I think you and I have experienced so much growth and understanding of the world and people in the world by traveling.
Yeah.
Not that you have to travel to do that, but like, I think when you do travel, you learn those lessons in such a stark way, and it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're not leaving your hometown that's small, it's harder to find those lessons in quite the same way.
Yeah.
And so when people don't want to leave their bubbles, that's why, like going back to the very beginning part of our conversation, it makes me hesitant about that person.
It makes me so I learned this at a very young age. My family immigrated here way before I was born, and they moved into a neighborhood that is like at the time, it wasn't multicultural at all. They were the only Indian family, and it was just predominantly Polish and Eastern European and European people. And over the years, like my grandfather, like Brampton eventually developed, and there's a lot of Indians in Brampton, Rexdale, Malton, as there always been. And my grandfather was like, I will never move to Brampton. There's too many Indians in Brampton.
I didn't move to Canada to be around Indians.
He goes, I left that place. No, he never said that. But he genuinely loved his neighborhood. And we were lucky that, like, I never really faced racism as a child growing up, like, in our neighborhood, because everybody was just so neighborly. And what I realized was, I didn't really have many Indian friends growing up. I didn't make my first Indian friend till like high school. Where I found like 5 others. And
hey, you're my people.
Right. And I remember we got on a bus and we ended up in Brampton. And we were like in grade 9. And the high school that we ended up at, we went to go visit someone else at this high school. And we're there. And all of a sudden it's just full of Punjabi kids. And I was like, oh my God, like it was culture shock to me. And it sounds ignorant saying this right now, but when you're like, there was no social media back then. There was no cell phones. Like we just kind of winged it and hopped on a bus and ended up in a completely different city. As I befriended people who were of my ethnicity, is especially when their families moved into an area where there's only their community and not just Punjabis, but Arabs and Persians and Chinese and Sri Lankans. When you have predominantly that one community, there's a lot of pros to it because you have access to resources, you get to know other people from your community, but it also limits you from getting to know other communities. So when I was friends with my friends growing up that were from every which race, my Indian friends would accuse me of doing white people shit, like going camping. Like, why are you always doing white people shit? Right. And I was like, I don't know, camping is white people shit. Like, I just love to be in nature. But like, it does not only does not leaving your environment that you've been raised in limit you, but not wandering away from your ethnicity and getting to know other cultures also limits your worldview, because you end up with just only your worldview from what you were raised with. And the world isn't like that anymore because you live in a country that is so multicultural, but you've been passed down ideologies and ways of thinking that you were born and raised with from generations prior. And unfortunately, we live in a world that is, it's globalization, and you should have an understanding of other cultures and a respect for those other cultures. And if you don't have that, it creates this other. Like it's us and then they're them.
I agree. And I think that's the issue with the bubbles of wherever you happen to be. And I want to reiterate that luxury is a travel, and especially things being so expensive right now. It is very expensive. It's more of a luxury now than it ever is.
Especially with the exchange rate, depending on where you go.
God, don't talk to me about the euro, because I'm a little traumatized.
Or the US dollar.
But yeah, I think that's an important part of this conversation. But like you're saying, you don't have to go far necessarily to expand your horizons, right?
No, even local travel.
Going to Chinatown, like
just go. Yeah, and I say this like with like the utmost understanding and empathy for people's financial situations. You don't need to hop on a plane and go to another country. You can simply just get in your car and just have an experience 3 hours away from your house.
Or less than that, especially if you live in Toronto, where it's so
No, Toronto to Toronto is 3 hours.
You're not wrong.
But you know what I mean? Like if let's say you go to okay, well everybody goes to Collingwood. Go to Algonquin. Go to Sudbury.
Yeah. Go Sudbury.
French River. But just leaving your comfort zone, even something as simple as if you're only prone to one coffee shop.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing about restaurants. Yeah.
If you just make a list of, I want to hit these coffee shops in these different neighborhoods, and just sitting there and people watching me. That's what I love about leaving here is I make it a point every time I go anywhere, I'm not going to be on my phone. And I usually have a day or two without my phone, or if I'm on it, if I post something, it's like post and ghost, right? I disappear. Yeah. And I love that I'm not needed. I make my one phone call home to be like, yep, I'm alive, haven't been kidnapped, goodbye.
Yep.
And that's the extent of that conversation. But I'm not texting, I'm not checking emails, I'm not responding to anything that doesn't need an urgent response. I'm just off. And it's beautiful to not be needed.
It's such a good feeling.
Holy shit, like to not be needed but in order to be not needed, you do need to have like a base where you can rely on people to take care of them.
Absolutely.
So, but to wrap this up, what are your tips for somebody who doesn't know, who has never traveled, who is hesitant to travel, or only does all-inclusive trips and just lounges around, or is scared of going into local communities? What is your advice for them, and what are the benefits of getting out of that?
I would say be honest with where you want to go and then follow through. Because if you're thinking, oh, I've never traveled before and an all-inclusive is a safer option, but your heart is pulling you to, I don't know, Thailand, go to Thailand. Yeah, and I think that's the first step in that self-reflection process that travel has to offer you. I'm also going to say the importance of being open to connecting with other people is a huge one, because travel is a lot about connection. Like we've talked about connection to self, that's huge. You're going to cultivate that by traveling on your own, or maybe you're traveling with others. I'm assuming based on the question that it's traveling on your own. But if you're allowing yourself to connect with others, you're going to learn more about others and learn more about other cultures, whether that's other tourists or people who are local. And then the last thing I'm going to say is don't be afraid to go local and do stuff that's not touristy. Even if it's something as simple as wandering. Honestly, when you wander, that is when the best stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. I think let go of the control of how it needs to be.
Huge.
And don't get me wrong, like I said, all-inclusive resorts, they serve their purpose. They are there for a reason. it's a multi-million dollar industry. But sometimes there's only so much of sitting on a pool that is like, that's not really travel, right? It's just, you're just sitting, but in front of a pool with free drinks.
It is nice.
And it is nice. It's
wrong.
amazing. I had a great time doing that. But when you feel called to a place, there's a reason. I truly believe there's a reason you're being called to that place at that specific time in your life.
I agree.
Listen to it and just go. And I used to hesitate because I'd be like, I can't afford it, or I need to save up money. And, and don't get me wrong, don't be financially irresponsible, right?
Of course.
But when every single time, and this is going to sound woo-woo and I don't care, but every single time I've wanted to go somewhere, not only do the cards align for me to end up there, the money somehow appears, even if it's just like through a windfall. Like it's like whether I save it or I don't save it, the money appears somehow. And it's like, I have money. Yes, I have responsibilities. I need to pay my credit cards. I need to do this. I need to do that. But when that opportunity arises, just seize it and go and have that experience, because to sit there and say, I'll go next year, next thing you know, 30 years have gone by and you will never be as healthy as you are today.
Absolutely.
To have those experiences, and you might not even be here later, right? So I never take any opportunity for travel for granted. And I think people should listen to their gut and suppress the fears, because oftentimes the fear isn't even yours. The fear is just something you read online that you now believe. Meanwhile,
in point Naples,
like I've been to parts of Panama where it's like, you shouldn't go there. And I'm like, it's kind of all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mexico, they had a huge
cartel
situation a couple months ago when I originally booked my ticket. and cheap flights, seize that opportunity. Man,
drug wars.
Book it for the future, because you know what? There's a cartel war going on right now, but maybe in 2 months there won't be, but you got a cheap flight. But everybody was saying like, don't go, or like, are you not scared? And we had rented a car. So we're like driving out and about, and I actually got a phone call from a friend of mine while I was in Mexico, and he's like, are you in Mexico? And I was like, yeah. He's like, don't leave the resort. And I was like, funny enough, I'm on the highway right now. And he's like, I will send you an Uber, go back to your hotel. It's not safe there. I'm like, I've been here for a couple of days. I've gone to Costco. I've gone to like the random mall. I've been to some market. I had some guy ask us if he could rip us off, like insane experiences. But I'm like, at no point did I feel unsafe. And don't get me wrong, it was a one-off for me because it can be very not safe.
You got to be smart. Like all of this,
you have to be smart.
What we're saying, you have to be smart.
You still have to be vigilant, but don't let what's on the headlines deter you from having experiences, because you have no idea. Not only do you have no idea where that experience is going to lead you, you have no idea who you're going to meet. I've met some of the most incredible relationships that I have with like the women I've met on trips, even some men that I've met on trips, where you have no idea what kind of networking opportunity that's led you to.
Yeah.
And listen to the calling. That's all I have to say.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that.
Well, if you found value in this episode or you loved our banter, please like, share, and subscribe, or share this episode with a friend who would also find value in it.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.